Commander Du Yun stared at the message on his screen. He read it 3 times to make sure he understood. The words did not change. All missions recalled. Mars colony outpost to begin shutdown in 24 hours. Du Yun looked out the viewport at the red planet stretching before him. He had lived here for 5 years. The outpost was small but important. It was humanity's first real home away from Earth. Now he was being told to leave it all behind. The year was 2157. Earth had changed much in the last few decades. Countries fought over water and food. The climate had grown worse. Storms destroyed cities. People were angry and afraid. Space exploration had once given people hope. But now, the governments of Earth wanted to use all their money and resources to fix problems at home. "Commander, is it true?" asked Li, his second-in-command. "Are they really shutting us down?" Du Yun nodded. "It's true. We have 1 day to pack up. The last ship leaves tomorrow." The Mars colony outpost had 12 people. All of them had given years of their lives to build humanity's future among the stars. Now they would return to an Earth that had given up on that dream. What about the other bases? Europa, Titan, the research stations in the asteroid belt? Li asked. All of them. Earth is turning its back on space. They're calling it the Earthward Focus Initiative. No more funding for any missions beyond our atmosphere. Du Yun began the shutdown checklist. Each system needed to be properly closed. He wouldn't leave the outpost in a mess, even if no human would ever return. As night fell on Mars, Du Yun took one last walk around the base. The greenhouse where they grew food. The lab where they studied how to transform Mars into a place where humans could breathe freely. The communication array that kept them connected to Earth and the other outposts. All of it would soon be cold and empty. What Du Yun didn't know, what no human knew, was that they were being watched. Far beyond Neptune, hidden ships monitored the situation. Inside those ships, beings very different from humans observed the Mars colony with great interest. One of these ships belonged to the Talons, a species with gray skin and 3 eyes. Their leader, Supreme Observer Melk, studied the readings from Mars. "Confirmed," said a Talon analyst. "The humans are shutting down their outpost. All data shows they are retreating from space exploration entirely." Melk made a sound that humans might interpret as a sigh of relief. "Send word to the collective. The human threat is receding." The collective was a union of 7 advanced alien civilizations. For decades, they had watched humans with growing concern. Humans were unpredictable. They advanced quickly. They took risks no sensible species would consider. Most concerning of all, they seemed determined to spread throughout the galaxy. The collective had been preparing for the possibility that humans would need to be contained, or worse. Now, it seemed such measures wouldn't be necessary. "Supreme Observer," said another Talon, "should we move to claim the abandoned human outposts?" "Not yet," Melk replied. "We must be certain this is not some human trick. We will wait and watch." Back on Mars, Du Yun sent the final transmission to Earth. Mars colony outpost shutdown complete. Final crew departing. May humanity return to the stars someday. As his ship pulled away from Mars, Du Yun looked back at the outpost one last time. The lights were off. The building stood silent against the red landscape. Humanity had turned its back on the stars. And across the galaxy, countless alien civilizations prepared to fill the void humans left behind. The universe held its breath, wondering what would come next. 20 years passed. Earth focused on its own problems. Most people forgot about space. The old outposts on Mars, Europa, and Titan became stories parents told their children at night. Captain Jaiho did not forget. His ship, the *Dayang*, was one of the few human vessels still allowed to travel in deep space. The *Dayang* was a merchant ship. Jaiho and his crew of 5 transported goods between Earth and the mining operations on the moon. "Captain, we have a problem," said Min, the ship's engineer. "The main engine is overheating. We need to stop for repairs. Jai-Ho frowned. They were far from their planned route, closer to Jupiter than to Earth or the Moon. Set course for Europa, Jai-Ho decided. The old research station should have parts we can use. Europa was one of Jupiter's moons. Humans had built a small base there to study the ocean under its icy surface. No one had been there in 20 years. As the Dayang approached Europa, Sang, the pilot, called out in shock. "Captain, look at this." Jai-Ho moved to the front window. What he saw made his blood run cold. A massive fleet of ships surrounded Europa. They were like nothing Jai-Ho had ever seen before. The ships were smooth and silver, with strange blue lights along their sides. "Those aren't human ships," whispered Sang. "Hide behind that moon," Jai-Ho ordered. "Quick." The Dayang ducked behind Ganymede, another of Jupiter's moons. From there, they watched through their telescopes. The strange ships were taking apart the human research station. They removed equipment, metals, and materials. Some ships drilled deep into Europa's ice. "They're stealing our technology," said Min, "and they're mining resources." "They're not just stealing," said Jai-Ho. "They're erasing all signs we were ever here." On one of the alien ships, a Talon commander named Vrek watched the operation with satisfaction. 20 years had passed since the humans retreated. The collective now moved freely, claiming the valuable outposts humans had foolishly abandoned. "Status report," Vrek demanded. "The human technology is primitive but useful," reported a worker. "Their research on Europa's ocean is particularly valuable, and the location is perfect for our new military base." Vrek nodded. "Excellent. Once we finish here, we move to Titan. The resources there will fuel our expansion for decades." On the Dayang Jai-Ho made a difficult decision. "We need to return to Earth immediately. People need to know about this." "But the engine," Min began. "Fix it enough for us to travel," Jai-Ho cut in. "This is more important than our delivery." As the crew worked on repairs, Jai-Ho studied the alien fleet. He counted more than 30 ships. Some were enormous, bigger than anything humans had ever built. "What do you think they want?" asked Yuma, the ship's doctor. "I don't know," Jai-Ho replied. "But they waited until we left. Now they're taking everything. And I doubt Europa is the only place." Once the engine was patched enough to travel, the Dayang slipped away, using Jupiter to hide from the alien fleet. As they set course for Earth, Jai-Ho wondered what else had changed in the galaxy while humanity looked inward. Later that night, while the rest of the crew slept, Jai-Ho checked the old star maps. He marked all the places where humans had built outposts or stations before the retreat. "These aren't just random spots," he realized. "We built on planets rich in water, minerals, and rare elements." A chill ran down his spine. Humans had unknowingly claimed some of the most valuable locations in the solar system. Now that they had left, others were moving in. As the Dayang raced toward Earth, the collective continued its silent expansion. On a dozen worlds that once held human outposts, alien ships arrived to claim what humans had abandoned. The galaxy was changing, and Earth had no idea what was coming. On Earth, things had gotten better. Rivers were cleaner. Farms grew more food. Cities were being rebuilt. The decision to focus on Earth's problems had helped in many ways. But not everyone agreed with turning away from space. Eun-jae lived alone in a small house high in the mountains. Once she had been an important diplomat. She had spoken for all humans to the only aliens they had officially met, the Navori. The Navori were peaceful. They looked like tall, thin humans with light blue skin. They had helped humans understand the galaxy better. But when Earth decided to retreat from space, contact with the Navori ended too. Except MJ never stopped talking to them. In her basement, hidden from government censors, she kept a small communication array. It was old technology, but it worked. Every week, She sent messages to her Navori friend, Hojun. Today, her equipment beeped with an incoming message. This was unusual. Hojun never sent messages outside their scheduled times. Yunjae activated the receiver. Hojun's face appeared on the screen. He looked worried. Yunjae, I don't have much time, he said. His voice was quiet, like he was afraid of being heard. I had to warn you. The collective is preparing for war. War? Against whom? Yunjae asked. Against everyone who stands in their way. They've been taking resources from abandoned human outposts for years. Now they're strong enough to take what they want by force. Hojun looked over his shoulder nervously. 3 smaller species have already been conquered. Their planets are now controlled by collective forces. Why are you telling me this? Yunjae asked. Earth has no ships, no defense systems in space anymore. Because humans need to know what's happening, Hojun said. The collective thinks of your retreat as weakness. They don't fear humans anymore. The screen went dark suddenly. The connection was cut. Yunjae sat in silence for a long time. Then she made a decision. She needed to warn Earth's leaders. The next day, Yunjae stood before the Global Council, the group of 12 people who led Earth's united government. She told them everything Hojun had said. This alien is trying to manipulate us, said one council member. They want us to waste resources on space again. The Navori have never lied to us before, Yunjae argued. They were our friends. That was 20 years ago, another council member said. Things change. We need to focus on Earth. Yunjae left the meeting angry and worried. The council wouldn't listen. They had become so focused on Earth's problems that they couldn't see the danger from beyond. As she walked home, her phone rang. The caller didn't identify themselves. Ms. Yunjae, a man's voice said. My name is Jae-ho. I'm the captain of a merchant vessel. I need to speak with you about something I saw near Europa. Yunjae stopped walking. What did you see? Alien ships. Dozens of them. They were dismantling our old research station. Yunjae's heart beat faster. Meet me at my house tomorrow. I'll send you the location. After ending the call, Yunjae looked up at the night sky. The stars shone brightly, beautiful, and distant. Most people on Earth never thought about them anymore. But out there, things were happening. Powers were shifting. And humans, who once dreamed of being part of the galactic community, knew nothing about it. In her pocket, Yunjae felt her communication device vibrate. Another message from Hojun had arrived. It contained only 4 words. They're coming your way. Yunjae's blood ran cold. She had to prepare. When Jae-ho arrived tomorrow, they would need to make plans. Earth might not care about space anymore, but space, it seemed, still cared about Earth. Captain Jae-ho's ship, the *Dayang*, moved carefully through the outer solar system. After meeting with Yunjae, they had formed a plan. They needed proof of the alien threat to convince Earth's leaders. Stay alert, Jae-ho told his crew. We're looking for alien ships, but we don't want them to see us. For 3 days, they watched the space near Saturn. On the 4th day, they saw what they were looking for. 5 large alien ships appeared, heading toward Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Get closer, Jae-ho ordered. We need clear images. As they moved closer, one of the alien ships suddenly changed direction. It was coming straight for them. They've spotted us, Sang shouted from the pilot's seat. Run, Jae-ho commanded. Full speed back to Earth. But the alien ship was faster. It fired a strange blue beam at the *Dayang*. The ship shook violently. Engine hit, Min reported. We're losing power. Jae-ho made a quick decision. Send the emergency signal. All channels. Yuna looked worried. That will alert Earth, but it will also tell the aliens exactly where we are. We have no choice, Jae-ho said. The emergency beacon sent out a powerful signal in all directions, but it did something unexpected too. On Titan, something awakened. Deep under the moon's surface, in a facility humans had built and then abandoned, computers turned on. Machines that had been sleeping for 20 years started to move. The facility was an automated factory. It had been designed to build ships and weapons if humans ever needed them far from Earth. Everyone had forgotten about it during the retreat. But the factory's eye remembered its purpose. It detected the human emergency signal and the alien attack. It began to build. Meanwhile, the Dayang was in trouble. The alien ship fired again. "We can't take another hit," Min warned. Suddenly, 3 small ships appeared from Titan's direction. They were old human defense drones, built 20 years ago. The factory had sent them to help. The drones fired at the alien ship. Their weapons were old but still worked. The alien ship backed away, surprised by the attack. "What's happening?" Yuna asked, confused. "I think Titan is helping us," Jiho said, amazed. Using the distraction, the Dayang escaped. Damaged but still flying, they headed for Earth as fast as they could. When they arrived, Yunjae was waiting with important news. While Jiho was gone, she had been busy. She had contacted every former space program employee she could find. Engineers, scientists, pilots, people who still believed in humanity's future among the stars. "We formed a group," she told Jiho when he landed. "People who understand the threat. But we still need to convince the Global Council." Together, they went to the Council with their evidence. Images of the alien ships, recordings of the attack, and Hejun's warnings. This time, the Council couldn't ignore them. The head of the Council, an older woman named Sun, spoke after seeing all the evidence. "For 20 years, we'd focused only on Earth's problems. We thought we were being wise. Now I see we were being blind." She turned to Yunjae and Jiho. "What do you suggest we do? We have no space fleet, no defenses." Yunjae smiled slightly. "Actually, that's not entirely true." Jiho discovered something interesting. "Our old automated factory on Titan is still working. It's already building ships. But we would need people to fly them," Sun pointed out. Jiho stepped forward. "I know pilots who would volunteer, people who never gave up on the stars." For the first time in 20 years, Earth's leaders started to look upward again. They realized that turning their backs on space hadn't made the dangers go away. It had only left them unprepared. "How much time do we have?" Sun asked. Yunjae's face grew serious. "Not much. The collective is moving quickly, and Earth may be their next target." 2 months passed. The factory on Titan worked day and night. It built ships using materials mined from Saturn's rings. The ships were not as advanced as the collective's vessels, but they were sturdy and reliable. Admiral Ta-1 stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Earth's new flagship. He was 60 years old and had once commanded Earth's space defense fleet before it was disbanded. Now he was back in space, leading humanity's return to the stars. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his second-in-command, a young woman named Sue. Ta-1 nodded. "Begin Operation Reclamation." 12 ships left Earth orbit. Each had a crew of volunteers, former astronauts, military personnel, and brave civilians. Their mission was simple but dangerous: check all former human outposts and gather information about the collective. The first stop was Mars. The old colony stood empty and cold on the red planet's surface. As they approached, sensors detected no alien presence. "Looks like they didn't bother with Mars," Sue said. "Perhaps there wasn't enough here to interest them. Or perhaps they haven't gotten to it yet," Ta-1 replied. "Either way, we can use it as our base of operations." Teams went down to the surface and reactivated the colony systems. Lights came on for the first time in 20 years. Air flowed through the tunnels again. Mars colony was back. As teams worked to restore the base, Ta-1 received a message from one of his scout ships near Jupiter. "Admiral, we found something at Europa." The aliens have built a massive base where our research station used to be. They're extracting something from under the ice. Can you get closer? I need to know their strength, Taiwan asked. Negative, sir. There are too many enemy ships, but we placed monitoring devices nearby. We're receiving their communications. This was a surprise. You can intercept their signals. Yes, sir. Our old communication systems seem compatible with theirs. We're translating now. Hours later, translated messages arrived at Mars. Taiwan and his officers gathered to review them. They're discussing human activity, Sue said, reading the reports. They've detected our ships but don't seem concerned. She continued reading. Listen to this. The primitive retreaters pose no threat. Their technology is outdated and their numbers are few. Continue operations as planned. Taiwan felt anger rise in his chest. They think we're weak because we turned away from space. We did turn away, another officer pointed out. Yes, but not because we're weak, Taiwan said. We turned inward to solve our problems. And we did. Earth is stronger now than it was 20 years ago. He studied the star maps showing known collective positions. They had spread throughout the solar system, setting up bases on moons and asteroids that humans had once claimed. We can't match them ship for ship, Taiwan admitted. They have too many, and they're too advanced. If we try to fight them directly, we'll lose. Then what do we do? Sue asked. Taiwan smiled for the first time in days. We do what humans have always done when faced with a stronger enemy. We adapt. We surprise them. He pointed to the maps. The collective thinks in straight lines. They build bases, they extract resources, they move to the next target. But humans, we're unpredictable. Taiwan turned to his communications officer. Send a message to all ships. New orders. We will not engage the collective directly. Instead, we'll strike where they don't expect us, hit their supply lines, disable their mining operations, and disappear before they can respond. The officers looked at each other, uncertain but excited. They think we're primitive retreaters, Taiwan said. Let's show them what happens when humans decide to fight back. Across the solar system, human ships changed course. Operation Reclamation had become something new, the first human resistance against an alien threat, and the collective had no idea what was coming. Jin Seo was only 25 years old, but he had a mind for strategy. Before joining the space mission, he had been a top student in military history. Now, sitting in the war room on Mars colony, he proposed a bold idea. We should use their view of us as a weapon, Jin Seo told Admiral Taiwan. The collective thinks humans are weak and primitive. We can use that. Taiwan nodded slowly. What do you suggest? Jin Seo pointed to the map showing all 12 human ships. We split up. Small groups hit different targets at the same time. We appear, attack, and disappear. We make them think we're everywhere. Guerrilla tactics, Taiwan said. But we have so few ships. That's the second part of my plan, Jin Seo continued. We spread rumors. We let them intercept fake messages about a massive human fleet preparing to return. We make them fear what they cannot see. The plan was approved. The human fleet broke into 4 groups of 3 ships each. They moved silently through the solar system, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The first attack came at a mining operation on an asteroid. 3 human ships appeared suddenly, fired precise shots at the mining equipment, and vanished before the guards could respond. The second attack happened days later at a fuel depot near Neptune. Again, human ships struck quickly and disappeared. On the collective's main command ship, Supreme Commander Vrek received reports of the attacks with growing anger. How are these primitive humans causing so much damage? He demanded. They retreated from space 20 years ago. It seems they've returned, Supreme Commander, an officer replied. Our intelligence suggests they have only a small fleet. Then why can't we catch them? Vrek asked. No one had a good answer. The human ships moved in ways the collective didn't expect. They didn't follow normal attack patterns. They struck random targets at random times. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Yunjia worked on the diplomatic front. Using her old communication array, she contacted the Navari and other species who feared the collective. Humans have returned to space, she told them. We are fighting back against the collective. If you help us, we can stop their expansion together. Several smaller species agreed. They couldn't fight the collective openly, but they could share information about ship movements and supply routes. A network formed across the stars. The human resistance grew stronger with each passing day. On Mars, Jin Seo prepared the next phase of his plan. He created fake transmission codes that made 3 ships look like 30. He wrote messages about a main fleet that didn't exist. Let them intercept this, he said as he sent the fake messages into space. The plan worked better than anyone had hoped. The collective became confused and paranoid. They saw human ships where there were none. They diverted forces to protect against attacks that never came. In a secret meeting, collective leaders argued about the human threat. They can't possibly have the resources for a large-scale war, one leader insisted. Then why are our bases falling? Another asked. Why can't we track their movements? Because humans are unpredictable, a third leader said. They don't think like us. They take risks we would never consider. Fear spread through the collective. Member species began to question their leaders. Some withdrew ships to protect their own worlds. On the Phoenix Admiral Ta One received reports of the collective's confusion with satisfaction. Jin Seo's plan is working, he told his officers. They're scared of ghosts. Su looked concerned. But sooner or later, they'll realize we don't have a massive fleet. What happens then? Taiwan's face grew serious. By then, we need to have a real advantage. It's time to execute the final phase of our plan. He turned to his communications officer. Send a message to Titan. Tell the factory to begin production at maximum capacity. It's time for the Titan Gambit. The collective had enough of the human attacks. Supreme Commander Vrek ordered all their ships to gather near Jupiter. Over 200 alien vessels formed the largest battle fleet ever seen in the solar system. We will crush these humans once and for all, Vrek told his captains. Our scouts report their main base is on Mars. We will attack with overwhelming force. On Mars, Admiral Ta One received news of the gathering fleet with calm eyes. They're doing exactly what we wanted, he told Jin Seo. They've pulled ships from all over the system to form one massive fleet. Jin Seo nodded. Now we just need to make sure they keep looking at Mars while we prepare the real surprise. For the past month, the factory on Titan had been working at maximum speed. But it wasn't building more ships. There wasn't enough time for that. Instead, it built thousands of small, simple vessels with one purpose: to confuse the enemy. Each small ship was just an engine, a power source, and a transmitter. But when activated, each would broadcast signals that made it look like a human military vessel. Are the decoys ready? Ta One asked his communications officer. Yes, Admiral. 5,000 decoys are complete and awaiting your command. Ta One took a deep breath. Everything depended on timing now. Launch the decoys. All of them. Send them to every collective stronghold in the system. On Titan, bay doors opened. Thousands of small ships flew out in all directions. They looked like a swarm of metal insects against the blackness of space. At the same time, Ta One sent a fake message he knew the collective would intercept. All ships prepare for final assault. The future of humanity depends on this battle. The collective fleet near Jupiter detected the message. Then their sensors lit up as thousands of signals appeared all over the system. Supreme Commander, a Talon officer shouted. Human ships are appearing everywhere. They're heading toward all our bases. Vrek stared at the display in shock. Impossible. They can't have this many ships. The readings are clear, the officer insisted. Thousands of human vessels, approaching at high speed. Fear spread through the collective fleet. Captains demanded permission to return to protect their home bases. "No," Vrek shouted. "It must be a trick. We stay together and attack Mars." But the captains of other species wouldn't listen. They broke formation, taking their ships to defend their own territories. The mighty collective fleet fell apart as ships rushed in different directions, chasing signals that weren't real warships at all. With the collective forces scattered and confused, Admiral Ta-1 launched the real attack. The 12 human ships, joined by allies from the Navari and other species, headed straight for the collective's central command station near Saturn. The station was nearly undefended. Most of its protection had joined the battle fleet near Jupiter. They left their heart exposed, Jin Seo said as they approached. The battle was short. Human ships disabled the station's weapons and engines. Then boarding teams captured the command center. Inside, they found the collective's central database. It contained all their plans, their strengths, and most importantly, their weaknesses. "Send word to Earth," Ta-1 ordered. The Titan Gambit worked. We'd struck at the heart of the collective. Across the solar system, collective forces remained in chaos. They chased phantom ships that disappeared from sensors as quickly as they had appeared. By the time they realized they had been tricked, it was too late. The human fleet, small but determined, had won not through superior firepower, but through cleverness and unpredictability. As Ta-1 walked through the captured collective command station, he found a message from Supreme Commander Vrek to his leaders. It had been sent just before the attack. The message read, "The humans are more dangerous than we thought. They don't fight like any species we've encountered before. They're unpredictable, adaptable, and they never give up. The universe should fear their return." Ta-1 smiled as he read those words. Humanity had turned its back on the stars once. That wouldn't happen again. 3 months after the capture of the collective command station, representatives from 27 different species gathered on Mars colony. The old human outpost had been expanded and improved. It was now a place where different beings from across the galaxy could meet in peace. Yun-Jae stood at the front of the main hall. Once just a diplomat to one alien species, she now spoke for all humans. "We did not return to space seeking revenge," she told the gathered aliens. "We do not want to replace the collective with human rule. We want something better for everyone." The collective had fallen apart after their central command was taken. Some member species had surrendered. Others had simply left the alliance. The Talons, who had led the collective, were now just one voice among many. "For too long, advanced species have taken what they wanted from less developed worlds," Yun-Jae continued. "The strong dominated the weak. We'd propose a new way." She outlined a plan for a new council where all spacefaring species would have equal representation. No single group would control the others. Resources would be shared fairly. Each species' home territory would be protected. "Humans turned their backs on space once," Yun-Jae said. "We won't make that mistake again, but we also won't repeat the mistakes of the collective." The alien representatives discussed the proposal for many days. Some were doubtful. Others were hopeful. In the end, most agreed to try this new approach. On Earth, things were changing too. The Global Council voted to rebuild the space program properly. New ships were being designed. Young people signed up to train as pilots and explorers. Humanity was looking to the stars again. In a small ceremony at Mars Colony, Commander Du-Yun, now an old man with white hair, was invited to return. 20 years earlier, he had been the last human to leave Mars when Earth retreated from space. Now he would be the one to officially reactivate the colony. His hand shook slightly as he pressed the button that brought the colony's main systems fully online. Lights brightened throughout the complex. Air circulators hummed at full strength. "Welcome back, Commander," said a young officer beside him. Du-Yun looked around at the busy halls. Humans worked alongside aliens from several different species. Together, they were turning the small outpost into a center for multi-species research and cooperation. "It's different than I remember," Du-Yun said with a smile. "Is that good or bad?" the young officer asked. Good, Du Yun replied without hesitation. Very good. Far from Mars, on worlds throughout the galaxy, other changes were happening. Species that had feared the collective now worked with humans and their allies. The universe, which had once braced for war, was learning a different way. It wasn't always easy. Old enemies didn't become friends overnight. There were still disagreements and conflicts, but slowly a new order emerged, one built on cooperation rather than domination. In private moments, Admiral Taiwan sometimes wondered what would have happened if Earth had never retreated from space 20 years ago. Would humans have become like the collective, taking what they wanted and ruling over others? Or would they have found this better path sooner? He would never know. But perhaps the time away had taught humanity an important lesson. Sometimes you had to step back before you could move forward in the right direction. Throughout the galaxy, a saying began to spread among alien diplomats. When humans turn their backs, they're not retreating. They're gathering momentum. And humans, looking out at the vast universe that had once feared them, promised themselves they would use that momentum wisely this time. The end